Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of BridgeCom Plus Live, or otherwise known as BC Plus
At
Live. I'm your
Granger,
host,
we're for the
Jeremiah,
ones who pay attention to every little
W9JAM,
detail, the ones who fuss.
and today we are going to be doing the 2024 year in review, as well as what is going on with BridgeCom for 2025. And before I forget, let's go ahead and introduce my co-host, Jeremy.
Am I that hard to forget? Really?
No, I got distracted by the audio coming from somebody else's microphone.
K85, YUZ.
All right, give me 1 second here. And we're off. Fix that so that doesn't happen again. And then, all right, Jeremy, you should be able to re-unmute yourself. There you go. All right. So, first of all, Jeremy, how was your Christmas and New Year's?
Christmas was good. My heart was definitely full, and it was running neck and neck with my belly. Uh, ate way too much, but what other holiday do you get together with family and friends that you don't? New Year's was kind of a double take of that. Uh, got to hang out with the grands and great grands, and it just made my year. And made for the very first time contact on 10 meters. I had two of my grandsons here. One is Gage is 11, and Jacob is 7. And I had 10 meters running and made my first contact to ARRL station, W1AW on 10 meters. And it was coming across the airwaves just as clear as a bell as you and I. And that was pretty cool, especially to see their faces light up when I told them how far away they were. And then had Senanet running. One of our longtime patrons here, he jumped in and checked in a couple of times. On the DMR side, on my talk group, we had a total of 7 that checked in. And I did go ahead and flip the switch to go over to the other radio network. Everything was great. And we had, I think the final count I heard was a total of 60 operators statewide. And at all the major hospitals that had children's wings, there was a operator with a radio there to where the children could hear the tracking of Santa as he come across. And that was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
So Santa wasn't nice to me this year. I still didn't get my dream rig, so just work on it a little harder this year, I guess.
Oh,
Other than that, I had a great time and made lifelong memories. How about yourself?
uh, so far so good. Uh, went out to eat at one of the places the roommates always go to for Christmas dinner. So we went out there. It's a place called Wright's Farm in Rhode Island. They also have a Wright's Dairy Farm where they actually make cakes and pastries and stuff at one location, and then they have another place where they've got like family style chicken that they bring out to the table. So it's these big things of chicken, and then pasta and salad and rolls, and basically it's you serve yourself. So we did that. And then let's see. Um, the one thing that I know for uh, Christmas at least was we had um, a lot of people that got new radios that had wrote in for Christmas, and um, for whatever reason, um, they tried using the regular cell phone USB charger to charge the battery on the 878. So instead of the USB Type A to USB C cable, they were trying to use a USB C to USB C. and that doesn't work to charge the USB-C batteries on the 878. So had to answer several tickets about that. So let's see, for 2024, I know you got one of them, the 168s. So that was one of the new things for 2024 that BridgeCom got, as well as several other manufacturers from AnyTone. As well as it's the first, well, I think it's the first AnyTone radio that came with a built-in USB-C plug that doubles as the charging circuit and the programming circuit. So that was kind of cool because that meant you didn't have to keep two cables and you didn't have to worry about packing a charger cradle if you're going on a trip. You just take the little brick that comes with the unit and the USB-C cable and plug it in and charge it up. So, also the 168 plug and play package was something new. So we had that. Kurt said the 168 is his current favorite radio. Mine's actually sitting right here.
You got it.
And the battery's charged. Surprisingly, both batteries are also charged in the 878s too. I know, we all need to go get Mega Millions tickets or Powerball tickets.
Mhm.
The spare battery is charged as well, Greg. So for
I
those on
will.
YouTube who are wondering, we're streaming from Zoom to YouTube, and our BC Plus members are in the Zoom meeting that are able to interact with us on the chat there, as well as during the after show. And then we've got the YouTube chat, which occasionally I can pull up here. So for everybody who's on YouTube watching us, thank you and welcome to the show. See, Richard, if I send my 878 to you, will you be able to get it updated for the hotspot? If you're doing the 878 Skybridge Max upgrade package, you would be able to take and send the radio to us, and we can get the firmware updated as well as the code plug, so it'll work on the Skybridge. And Justin, the antennas are supposed to be to us by the end of January. There was a shipping delay from AnyTone. So that is where we're at on the antennas right now. David, if you have access to bridgecomsystems.com and you sign into your account, you should be able to see your memberships and see if your membership's active. And if it is, I can get you the link. And David said he got his Skybridge Max this evening. Congrats. Make sure when you're doing the setup that you run the WPSD update to update the operating system before you start programming everything. If it wasn't part of a plug and play package, because you want to start with the latest updates before you go programming everything. And always, 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 with any Pi-Star or WPSD update or hotspot, when you go to shut it down, don't just yank the power out of it. Go to admin and then look for, once you're signed in on admin, make sure that you have the power tab pulled up and click shutdown. So it'll send the shutdown signal to the operating system. Because if you don't do that and it's in the middle of a read-write process, it can actually corrupt the card, and then you've got to reimage the whole card and set everything back up again. So Just a little heads up on that. And that applies to both Pi-Star and WPSD. So for those with the Legacy SkyBridge Plus models, there is that. Also, make sure that if you are re-imaging your card because it's gotten corrupted, while you're at it, go ahead and pick up some extra micro SD cards that are at least 16 gig class 10 cards and just image 3 or 4 of them all at once. And then once you have one of the cards set up, you can actually go to the backup restore feature under configuration on WPSD and save a zip file with the configuration to the computer, and then you can write it back to. So that is one way to help you quickly get it back up and on the air. There are some tutorials online on how to back up the existing card, but unfortunately, I've had several people who've tried using the Win32 Imager backup process that is listed on several websites, and they've actually overwrote a hard drive instead and lost a bunch of data. So don't want to do that. um, so there is that. As Jonathan says in the Zoom chat, backup, 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 backup. Yes. For those who are wondering how many cards I have for backup purposes, each one of those that is one of these three right here has a micro SD card already in it. So as far as
backup to the backup.
I have a case just like that in my camera bag.
Never leave home without them.
So as far as the lifetime swag boxes, they are working on getting those done. They're doing so many at a time. I don't know what the current status is. If you are a lifetime member, I would suggest calling in and asking to speak with shipping and ask them what the current status is on that, because I don't know what they've gotten shipped and what hasn't been shipped yet. They're going to be the best one to know on that one. Just make sure that you've got your order number for your lifetime subscription handy, so they can pull that up and verify it. Let's see. So 2024, we didn't do Hamcation last year. In 2024, we did do Hamvention, and I got to meet a lot of people at Hamvention. Several people who had just gotten their license a few days before Hamvention. It just listed itself on the FCC database. So they were all set to go, and they were happy about that. And they said their first stop was over to us to get their radio because they wanted to get on DMR. So I helped them get their radio set up right then and there, their SkyBridge set up, because I had programming cables out the wazoo plugged into the computer, because my laptop's kind of a mini version of my desktop, so I can program like 3 or 4 radios at the same time. Just got to make sure I keep which code plug goes to which radio in order there. So got several people set up at Hamvention. I don't know what the current situation is with Hamcation. I thought we were going, but somebody recently said to me that they didn't see us on the vendor list. So I've got to get follow up on that when the powers that be get in. So I can figure out what's going on with that, so I can let you guys know if we're going to be at Hamcation or not. I think we're going to be, but I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. The year of firmware updates, Jeremy. How many did we go through on the 168 like 4 versions to get to the current version.
Well, since I had mine, I had 6.
Yeah, there were several beta ones, and then the official releases.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well,
I
see, I've had
know,
mine before, when 168 was still in development.
right. And those are the ones that I had as well, going through those and testing those out. And in the middle of the firmware, I think it was 1.02, they changed the screen itself because it went from the vertical bars on the right to the bars that
Mm-hmm.
go left right now.
Those were so annoying.
Yeah, the bars on the right or the left didn't make any sense to me at all. When you're looking at the face of the radio and they were over on the left, that didn't make sense to me.
No, and it looked more like the visualization off of the like a digital EQ off the old rack stereo systems.
I was thinking an 8-bit tornado
Close enough.
that was halfway off the screen. But then the 878 software firmware updates, and the latest one that has been causing so many issues, 3.05. Both of my 878s are on 3.05. I have narrowed it down to if for some reason the MCU reset does not take after you upload 3.05 to the radio and you do an MCU reset and you try to read it with 3.05, it will kick up that get data from 250,000 error.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to do the MCU reset a couple of times to get it to initialize the firmware.
The reason I only have one of my two 878s on 305. The other one is running 304 still.
Yeah.
I see the advantages and disadvantages. Um, I think those are by far the best 2 updates that they've come out with for the 878 line since it came to market.
Yeah. I know people keep asking me about the satellite feature, and honestly, I don't have the time to work on making a video on the satellite function feature that's been introduced with those firmwares.
We're going to have
Uh,
to hook up.
yeah, we're gonna have to get a video made somehow.
Yeah.
Because between support tickets and planning out show schedule and everything else I'm working on in the background, uh, that one feature is something that I haven't been able to do anything with.
We tried it out. I think it was the night of Christmas.
Okay.
And tape measure antenna, front yard. I've got a tracking app of the ISS on my phone. I was able to use that, so which way to point my antenna, and we did make contact. Uh, it's not my first ISS contact. I don't have enough fingers and toes that I've done, but this was the first one that I've done with the settings. And there again, I had 2 of my grandsons here, and that's what started their interest in asking the 1,000,001 questions. And the icing on the cake, I guess you could say, for them is when I told them I could talk to the space station. And they both
Yes.
laughed until I said, let's go. Go out in the front yard and done it. And their 7-year-old was looking at me like, oh, the most awesome thing ever walked the face of the earth. And I said, you'll get here one day, son. So to show that in front of them was something pretty cool. I've not playing with that particular feature before. It was pretty straightforward on the setup. Normally, I would just have my VFOA on the end of the ISS and my VFOB on the receive of the
Mhm.
ISS, and that's how I work it. I just had to keep remembering after I the transmit flipped down to the receive.
Yeah, that's where having one of the buttons set up, like if it was on here, it would just be setting one of your key functions on the left side of the
Yeah.
radio up for it. Um, Ironically, speaking of key functions, something that I've gotten several times this week is setting up the hotkey for the quick disconnect. Evidently, the image on the blog post itself, um, when you try to click on it, depending on what browser you're on, it doesn't open the image itself unless you right click on it and click open image in new tab. So
Hmm.
it looks like it was embedded in the blog post. I'm going to have to take a look at that and see if I can fix it. Because 3 emails in a row it's been blurry. And I'm like, if you already have the Ultra or the Super code plug like you said in the support ticket, it should already be set up unless something happened to your code plug. So made some screenshots, sent those over to people, and they got them taken care of, and like, okay, thank you. So um, let's see, 2025. What are you hoping for 2025 as far as ham radio goes?
Well, uh, I've got one personal goal for 2025, and that is to put up a 220 repeater here. That's in
I
the
know I've
works.
got the sale.
Yeah. Takes a lot of something that this country boy don't have a lot of right now. But get a 220 put up locally because 220 down this in this area is just not existent. Uh, Greg up there around Tulsa, that's where the honeypot for 220 is per se for the state. I think OKC's only got one or two 220 machines up, and kind of give it a little bit of a different flavor variety down here. Right now we've got two 2 meter machines. So I think a 220 would be icing on the cake for us. The other thing that would like to see AnyTone to be able to start doing is some M17 uh, conversion into for on the hardware side of the radio, so we could utilize it for M17. Um, the other thing I'd like to see is now that the 578 has a proven track record of crossbanding, to see where it could do crossband to those other networks if programmed correctly. That would be pretty cool. Right now, I've got two HTs that are the only two rigs I've got for M17, and really wish they were AnyTone because compared to the audios, those other two are not the best in the world.
Yeah. The one thing I would be concerned with cross-banding networks is I know Brandmeister, if they catch you doing that, they are not going to be happy and they will suspend your access to the network until you agree
Uh,
not to do that again.
well, the crossbanding would be essentially like what we were doing when we did the multi-network, and you'd go into a Maryland and it would be rebroadcasted to those other ones. Or the theory of something execution wise of that.
Okay. So you got me thinking about it, and I just put in my grid square on repeater book because for whatever reason, with everything I know my grid square by heart. Um, yeah, I know, Jeremy. I know. So I put that in, selected 25 miles around me, and it looks like I have 18 220 repeaters surrounding me, but
Yeah,
no 220 antenna for the 578 set up at the house, only on the car.
yeah, you're starting to sound like Mr. Greg is up there in Tulsa Claremore area.
No. And the funny thing is, I don't think I've ever used 220 on the 578 in the car. There wasn't a 220 repeater in Palm Springs. Let's see here. So, just to show you guys, real quick, because I know somebody's going to ask, wait, how do you figure that out? Let me share my screen here. Okay. So if you go to Repeater Book's website and you have an account already set up, it won't ask you to log in, but I already have an account set up. So just go to North American Repeaters if you're in North America and click on proximity. And you can actually do either one, the new proximity search or the regular proximity search. Either one will work. And you can put in your grid square or the city and state that you're in. Like my grid square is FN42IA. And then just choose 1.25 meters because that's 220. And then make sure FM is selected. And then you can either select confirmed on air only or see all repeaters that are 220. Click search. And then it's going to show generalized GPS coordinates for that grid square. And then it's going to show you all the repeaters. Like the green here shows that it's on air, the red is off air, and white, it's unknown status. And then you can actually see that two of these are All-Star and Echo Link. There's one that's Echo Link by itself, and then there's one that's IRLP by itself. The other thing is if you're on a, if you see one, whether it's 220, 2 meter, or 440, what you can do is if you see DMR under mode next to FM, you can actually click on the frequency and it'll tell you which network it's on there. And you can see if the IPSC says Brandmeister. If it is, you can actually use your Brandmeister compatible code plug with that repeater. Otherwise, you'll have to program whatever the available talk groups are that it lists, if it lists any, for the network that it supports. So just thought I'd share that. All right.
My 2 cents, I'd like to see 220 start being used and be a more common mode, I guess you could say, or frequency
Yeah,
utilized.
because I know in California, some of the repeaters went to narrowband because of how much frequency allocation and how many repeaters there are. And some repeaters have went to narrowbanding because of that. So narrowband FM. So you've got to drop it to 12.5 kilohertz for the bandwidth. And 220, there's not that many 220 repeaters. So that area is wide open.
Yeah. I know in bigger cities, at least down here in Oklahoma, you've got a super concentration of 2 meter and 440. And so the 220 is popular in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Really popular up there in Green Country, to be more specific. But that leaves everything else wide open, like down here in southeastern and, well, everything but the northeast part of the state. With them having the 220, that would be just wide open. I know when I filed all my paperwork, the frequency coordinator said, "Well, what frequency you want?" And that kind of threw me for a loop when it was that easy to get a 220. Normally, filing for any of the frequency, you'd have it anywhere from 2 to 3 days before they gave you an idea. But
yeah,
the bands that we have, I'm a fervent believer. If we don't use them,
we lose them.
we will lose them. So, if y'all have the ability to run these other bands, jump on them. Hammer down, whether it be just simplex, get some noise on there. Because if we don't use them, they will take them away from us, and we won't be as easy to get them back. Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's see here. All right. Okay. I thought that was somebody sending an email in about BC Plus, but no, that was about a cable. Okay. Checking to see if it was somebody that wasn't able to get in, so I could get them the link in case the email didn't work. Let's see. So, IP68, IP 67. I saw that in the chat. I know that AnyTone is working on trying to design some radios that are IP67. I don't know if they're going to do it the same way that one of the other manufacturers did, where the whole radio, except for the microphone jack, is pretty much sealed. And then you have a door with a rubber grommet that covers the plugs to seal it. And you have to undo and retighten a screw every time you want to plug the external mic in or the programming cable. Or if they'll go the route of some of the like Motorola style connectors and do that where it's got the pins on the side
Oh, that
instead.
starter pad.
Yeah. I know there's been some talk about that. I do know that if you have a 168 and you're doing fire, EMS, Aries or something like that, I do have a way that I can switch that to commercial mode for the customers that have the proper credentials. We don't sell it as a standalone commercial radio right now, because there hasn't been interest in that. I've only had like 3 people that have ever asked me about it. So that's why it's just going to be, the regular amateur version. And if you're fire, EMS, Aries, search and rescue, something like that, and you've already got the radio from us, let me know and I can help you with that. But I do need the proper credentials, meaning valid ID. So we've got something on file. So if the FCC ever shows up and says, hey, what's going on here? We've got that. Kurt says,
They've already got one in the works, and I'll just leave it at that.
me and you need to talk after the show about that. Yeah, Jonathan. Unfortunately, if the FCC says papers, please, at some of the people's houses, they're probably going to be like, okay, do you want the paper from yesterday's paper route or the one for tonight's paper route? Because I haven't picked that up yet. So, although if you're doing a paper route on a bicycle with as cold as it is in some areas of the country right now, all I can say is I hope you stuff your shoes full of those foot warmer things.
Yeah, as much snow as we got on the ground down here, the bicycle would do you nothing. You pick it up and carry it along, you'd go a lot quicker, a lot further. And also for those that are on the Zoom call with us, make sure you've entered into the BC Plus members drawing. You have 25 minutes left.
Yes. And I actually have, I've got to find it. So Jeremy, if you want to take the lead for a moment while I find this, because it was sent to me.
All right.
There it is.
Don't overcompute now.
I've got the new prize wall image.
Ah.
So we do have a new prize wall for this year.
Nice.
So, I can spell correctly.
Well, while he's over there trying to Jarvis that, Other than the recommendation, like Kurt said, that he would love to see an HF, VHF, UHF, analog, and DMR in one radio, similar or like if the Xiegu G90 and the 878 were combined. Um, that was what I had commented on before. Anybody else have anything? The only thing that I can see is the Zoom call side. So anybody here on the Zoom call have anything that y'all would like to see uh, basically come to a reality for 2025 as far as communications go?
Well,
And then those of y'all that are on the YouTube, giving us a follow there, put it over on that side, and I'll have Jarvis take a gander over there.
USB-C connectors for all radios. That would be great if the industry could get on that same page for all the radios, whether it's an ICOM, a Kenwood, or the AnyTone, or my favorite little target practice radio, the Baofeng. I'm sorry, but after somebody sent me the video of them shooting their Baofeng after they got their Anytone radio,
That's still
that was
going
funny.
around? Dang, I thought I took
Yes.
it down.
I'm like, I was gonna say that's an expensive target, but then again, it was a Baofeng. Um, let's
Troy,
see.
that would be cool. They said license for the Fusion and Wires X to be used on any tone. That would be cool. Um, Another one that I've seen, let's see, one, two, three different comments on the Zoom call. Tri-band capabilities. Yes, the 878 and the 578 are capable, but it's the
Well,
power out on the 220.
okay. So real quick to clarify on the 878, um, there is a mode that the radio can be put into that does like a half watt or a watt on 220 if you unlock the radio. Um, but that mode will void your warranty because it does not have any official hardware for 220 in the radio for the 878. That being said, one of the things that AnyTone put on the block for the next generation 800 series radios is it would have 220 in it, meaning it would have the hardware for it. When that's going to happen, we are still waiting. We haven't gotten any updates on a production model yet or a test model or anything. So we are still waiting on that. I am hopeful that it'll be before the end of 2025 because I know they've been working on it since mid 2023. And one of the things that people have been hammering AnyTone about is, can you make it IP67 waterproof rating? So getting all of that into a waterproof case, that requires retooling, new case design, stuff like that. So that could be where one of the hangups is on why it's taking so long to get the next generation AnyTone out. I suspect the new radio will probably use the same processor as the 168 because it's a newer processor, but it may be an even faster processor than the 168 has.
Hopefully.
I know the one thing I would like to see, and I'm sure everybody else will give a thumbs up for this, faster write speed to the radio of the digital contact list. I know, keep daydreaming.
That's a lot of data, especially when you're putting it as a fresh write. That's a huge amount.
Yes. Right now it's like 16 megabytes for the data itself and the code plug usually is around 5 megabytes without the digital contact list in it.
Well, that also
Um,
depends
hmm,
because I've got a custom download that I use for my user file. I don't have it to where it has the world. I've got
yeah,
select areas. Um, that way it works in my 868, 878, and 168. There's a lot of them that I can't speak their language, so why do I need their talk group? So I've gone in through the tool that's on the radio ID and made a condensed version of my user file. But
yeah,
it doesn't take as long as it does to write the entire user file. Still takes a pretty good amount of time, which I can see having that sped up would be so much nicer. But yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid that if they were to speed that up, it could induce errors.
yeah, that's true as well. Um, Looky who I see on YouTube in the comment section.
I,
Hi, Adam.
ah, I don't have
So,
visibility to the YouTube side.
um, so, let's see here. Auto update the digital contact list. That would be great, but because the radio contact list is maintained by radioid.net, I would think that there would have to be some kind of licensing agreement, unless it just pulls from the data dump URL and downloads it like a once a night thing, and you just have to leave the CPS on, kind of like the updates on Pi-Star and WPSD. That could be a possibility, and it just downloads it once a night.
Yeah,
But
but
then
that
you're writing it to the radio every
exactly,
day.
exactly. Um, I mean, you could do it as a force right, but that takes a lot more technology than what's in the radio to be able to do that. Uh, that's when you start getting into OTAR and OTAP.
Yeah.
But I do like that. That would be a cool feature. That'd be a really cool feature. One I personally would like to see is the 168 screen on the 878 body.
That's actually not a bad idea, because the if you take the 168 screen, turn it sideways, it's the 878 screen.
Yeah.
So all they would need to do is turn it sideways for the next generation 800 series.
Um,
Um,
that and the video card or drivers that are on the board. I like how crisp and clean the visualization is on the 168 better than the 878.
yes, that is one thing that does stick out better to me. Um, I know some people say that the 168 uh, telling the difference between your VFOA and your VFOB, or main channel, sub channel, which one you have selected. Um, with the older firmware, it didn't distinguish it as well. The newer firmware, the 1.04 firmware, it does distinguish it better. So there is definitely that. Um, Also updating the images that are included for screen background images. That would be something that would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I'm trying to think as far as AnyTone, because I can think of several other things I'd like to see in the market in general.
Hmm.
But as far as AnyTone, I think just getting the next generation 800 series radios out and having USB-C built into the side of them, like the 168 is, um, and um, taking getting everything set up where maybe we could have one CPS for all 3 radios. That would be awesome because then
Cool.
we could have one code plug, and you would just have to select your drop down maybe in the code plug to select your key functions, and it changes what needs to be changed.
Or have it to where, like, on the professional side, I've got some radios that follow along what you're saying. They're on the CPS, but it would, if I had one of the base models, uh, economy model, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the top dog over here, try to program the two. If I was trying to put a feature on economy model that wasn't allowed, it would be grayed out. But yet, when I would be working with the top of the line model, that option would be to where you could select it and go through the submenu or what have you. That would
Yeah,
be cool.
that would
That
be
would be
cool.
really cool.
Let's see.
Okay, we've got another one here on the Zoom call. A rig with 10 watts, 2 meter, 8 watt, 70 centimeter, and 5 watt, 1.25. I
That actually
I could
wouldn't be
get down with
bad.
that. I could get down with
Um,
that.
I think if it was a handheld, we'd have to go with a bigger battery though,
Oh, it'd have to be
especially
so much
running,
bigger.
yeah, because 3100 milliamp hours on the 878, it lasts for a while. But if we're talking 10 watts
Yeah.
on 2 meters, yeah, I could see that needing to be a bigger battery. And then that comes down to how much weight do you want sitting on your belt?
And how big do you want that to be? Uh, in the way or on the belt or in the hand? Because that'd be a brick. And
Yeah,
the other comment that I agree with, because since it's come more of a thing, I've got to enjoy some of it myself. But having airband on an 878 would be awesome. That I do agree.
yes. That's actually one of the features that AnyTone lined out for the 890 whenever it gets into production, is it will have airband receive.
Nice.
Um, there are some rumors of other features that the 890 would have, but those are just rumors at this point, and I don't want people going off and saying, "Oh, it's definitely going to have that," because BridgeCom said that, because it's just a rumor. Um, a built-in digital interface like the DigiRig for WinLink and other digital modes, I can agree
Stay
with that.
tuned, is all I can say.
Let's see. Um, and somebody just sent me a message here, I think. Um,
Lord Lenny. Agreed, agreed. A couple of the other lines that was there.
let's see here. Um, okay. So we've got roughly 11 minutes left before the drawing for the BC Plus members. And let's try that again. It was trying to send the message to Jeremy directly instead of posting it to the group chat. It's like, Jeremy's already got the link. Um,
I'm already here.
yep.
Just
So
can't
for
help it.
So for everybody on YouTube, please let us know what you would like to see for 2025, what your hopes are for amateur radio in general. Also, just as a side note, for anybody who is watching from California, please stay safe with the fires out there.
You're here.
Follow the instructions from the police and the fire department. Keep yourself safe. Remember, you're more important than any property. So just keep yourself safe and be safe. And again, thank you for everybody who is watching on YouTube. We're going to switch over to the BC Plus members only part now. So if you want to let us know what you want to see for 2025 in amateur radio, you can send an email to bcplus@bridgecomsystems.com, and we'll be able to take and get that, and we can put a list together and go over it next week to see what people wrote in. So again, that's Bravo Charlie Paul Uniform Lima. Nope, I screwed that up. It's been a while. Bravo Charlie Paul Lima Uniform Sierra at bridgecomsystems.com. I told you I didn't have any coffee. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week on YouTube. 73.
73s.